A very good morning, students. This is a short video on the external feature of the midbrain. As you know by this time that midbrain is located above the upper border of the pons here, and then it is going inside the cerebrum. That means this is the midbrain which connects the forebrain with the hindbrain. And you know that the hindbrain consists of the pons, medulla, and cerebellum. The this length of the midbrain is very small, around 2 centimeter in length it is there, and this midbrain presents the four surfaces: a ventral surface, a dorsal surface, and two lateral surface, right and the left lateral surfaces. Okay, so we will learn about the midbrain. And in this specimen, since there are blood vessel is still intact, this deep structure inside is the midbrain, which I will try to show you with that of the help of this hemisection of the brain. This was the pons here, okay? And if you go above the pons, then this pons is continuous in midbrain as the form of the cerebral the cerebral peduncle, and this peduncle is containing is made up of the thick rope-like structure or bundle of the white matter, what is called as the crus cerebri. Okay, this is on one side, crus cerebri, because it is hemisection. You can see the presence of one rounded elevation here called as the mammillary body, and in between the two crus cerebri or crura cerebri, in between two, there will be an area called as the posterior perforated substance. Let me show you this ventral aspect of the midbrain with the help of the diagram from the book, and I will show you that this is a very small 2 centimeter long structure. I hope that you are able to see this picture. Please zoom that, okay, so that you can see it very clearly. Now you can see these are the two mammillary bodies. This is the posterior perforated substance, and these are the crura cerebri. The singular is the crus cerebri. In between the crura cerebri, this area which is in depression is called as posterior perforated substance, located just above the upper margin of the pons. This is pons, its upper margin, and these are the two crus cerebri diverging as they go. Okay, now this crus cerebri and that of the posterior perforated substance, okay, these are the part of the midbrain as seen from that of the ventral aspect, okay. And I told you that the opposite surface, the posterior surface, will be entirely different. Now this crus cerebri on either side, they are crossed by the optic tract, okay, and in the uppermost part is the mammillary body, though it is not the part of the midbrain, okay. From the medial surface of each crus cerebri, right side and left side, there will there will emerge a nerve, what is called as the third oculomotor nerve. Okay, oculomotor nerve will be seen here. I can show you the presence of the oculomotor nerve here, but on the lateral side of the crus cerebri, on right side as well as left side, there will be a relation of the fourth cranial nerve, because it comes from that of the dorsal surface after winding round the crus cerebri on its lateral aspect, and then comes to the ventral aspect. Now in this diagram you can see the presence of the midbrain here, deeply located, two mammillary body, posterior perforated substance. This is the posterior cerebral artery coming out from the basilar artery, which we have seen in the last video, which lies in front of the pons. This is the posterior superior cerebellar artery, and you can see this now coming out from the ventral aspect of the midbrain. And at the same time, if you are zooming this diagram and looking very carefully, the thin nerve which is coming here between these two arteries, posterior cerebral and the posterior cerebellar and the posterior cerebral, posterior superior cerebellar and posterior cerebellar. This thin nerve which is coming from the dorsal surface is the trochlear nerve is here. So this small portion of the midbrain shows very few features onto that of the ventral surface. Let us go to that of the dorsal surface of the midbrain and again zoom. Okay, I will tell you, please again zoom this diagram and you can see this part is that of the oblique view of the posterior surface or the dorsal surface of the midbrain and the lateral surface of that of the midbrain, right lateral surface. Here you are clearly seeing the four swellings. They are called as the colliculi, or singular is colliculus. Okay, so there are two superior colliculi and two inferior colliculi. Just above the two superior colliculi you can see the presence of this pineal gland, which I have also shown in our specimen, which was the mid-sagittal section. Also, this is the superior cerebellar peduncle, which is going to cerebellum. This part is the middle cerebellar peduncle. Another thing which you have to note here is that there is the origin of the trochlear nerve. It's very fine. Okay, just below that of the inferior colliculi on right and left side, and this trochlear nerve is seen only one side. This small, it's a very faint seen trochlear nerve will wind round, and then as we have seen it will come out on the ventral surface. Okay, if you see the lateral surface, as I said, there are two lateral surface in midbrain, right and left. This is the right lateral surface. You will see that from the superior colliculus a band of the nerve fiber is going upward, what is called a superior brachium. In the similar way, a band of the nerve fibers, okay, rope-like structure is going here, okay, and this is called as the inferior brachium. The inferior brachium fibers, which are bringing the fibers from the inferior colliculi, will end into the medial geniculate body, which is not shown here, and similarly the superior brachium will end here into the lateral geniculate body. The superior brachium, superior colliculus and lateral geniculate body forms the optic pathways, while that of the medial geniculate body and inferior colliculus and inferior brachium, they are part of the auditory impulse, system, auditory system. So we have seen all the four surfaces: the ventral surface, the dorsal surface and the lateral surface, right lateral. The same picture will be there into the left lateral surface. If I want to show you in the specimen this colliculi, I think I will be able to show you this colliculi in that of the hemisection. Okay, it is there, and the brachium is also seen here. Just zoom this area which I am trying to focus here. I hope that it is focusing well, and then you can see that this is the small part, 2 centimeter part is midbrain in sagittal section, and it is traversed by a canal called a cerebral aqueduct, and just behind the central cerebral aqueduct onto the dorsal surface you are seeing these two large swellings, and this is the inferior colliculus and this is the superior colliculus is here, inferior and superior. From superior colliculus, if I turn it, you can see a band of the white fiber is going, and that is called as the superior brachium. Okay, so you can see the superior brachium coming. Inferior brachium, I will not just band it, otherwise it is already started braching, it will brach further. Okay, so this is the midbrain. Any important thing is to note here is that the cerebral aqueduct is a canal which connects the third ventricle of cerebrum with that of the fourth ventricle of the hindbrain. Okay, so this is the cerebral aqueduct through which passes the CSF from third ventricle to that of the fourth ventricle, and this is the part of the midbrain. Thank you very much for watching this video on the external surface of